What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Shadowlands video. How's everybody doing? I hope you're having a fantastic day. I hope you got a coffee. I do. We got the Fox with us today, the Fox mug. I hope you're doing well. We are going to talk about a legendary today. It is so close to my heart, one of my favorite legendaries to play with that I don't ever get to really play with much because it just always doesn't perform super well, but I'm going to make the case today that I think it could perform better. So yes, we're talking about Deeply Rooted Elements, which says when you cast X ability, you have a chance to trigger Ascendance. For Resto, that's Riptide. For Enhanced Shaman, that is Storm Strike. And for Ellie Shaman, it's Lava Burst. I'm going to explain to you why this is bad on one of the specs here, and then good for the other two specs. So number one, it's just bad for Resto Shaman. Ascendance itself is a good button, and getting a trigger on Ascendance will trigger the burst of water healing that you get, the 12,395 water, the healing that you get there. Excuse me. It's still bad, though, and it's bad for a couple reasons. Number one, you have no way of resetting the cooldown of Riptide, and you have no way of making Riptide cooldown any quicker. There's no interactions with Riptide making Riptide come back any faster. Yes, as Necrolord, you get one additional Riptide with Primordial Wave, but that's it. So your chance to trigger Ascendance is very low. Like, you're not hitting the button that triggers Ascendance very often, so you don't have a very good chance to trigger it. That's just the bottom line. It also is not affected by haste. Increasing your haste does not reduce the cooldown of Riptide. So third, healing cooldowns never really want to be used randomly. You want your healing cooldowns to be predictable. You want to understand when the damage is coming and when you need to use the healing. So getting random procs on Ascendance isn't always the best because you might trigger it when nobody needs it. So on the healing side, it's bad. Now, on Enhancement and Elemental, it's good, and I'm going to explain why. I'm going to explain why it's better. Again, you still might not think it's good, but that's okay. I understand. We're just going to equip this, and then we're going to equip this. Oops, this is our trinkets. That's fine. Put that one on, and put this one on. And we have our, okay. This bugged out on me a minute ago when I tried to record this, so I'm really hoping it doesn't bug out again. But so using Storm Strike now has an 8% chance to activate Ascendance. Why is this better? Well, a lot of reasons. Number one, there's talents that interact with Storm Strike. So Storm Flurry has a chance to proc Ascendance again, which is great, and that can just chain off of itself, so you have a higher chance to proc Ascendance. And then Storm Strike just does more damage here, which also makes Wind Strike do more damage when you transform into an Ascendance and you get to use Wind Strike, okay? Number two, our tier set bonus is giving us Stormbringer. Has a 20%, your wolves have a 20% chance to give you Stormbringer, which resets the cooldown of Storm Strike, or which allows you to press it more often, which allows you to get into Ascendance potentially if you get the proc. Does that make sense? So the tier set bonus is working in our favor. Our talents are working in our favor. And at this point in the expansion, our stats are working in our favor. So you can see here that I only have about 34% haste. And that's okay for this point in the expansion, but my live character actually has 40% haste. And you can get crazy amounts of haste now because of gear. My haste is lower because of the tier set bonus stuff, but the point is you can get high amounts of haste if you want to, and that gives your auto attacks a higher chance to get you Stormbringer, which also gives you a higher chance of getting back your Storm Strike, which gives you a better chance to get the Ascendance proc. So the higher haste you get, the better it goes. So all those things are working together. We have talents that buff Storm Strike and make it more likely for us to get Storm Strike procs. Our tier set bonus with our wolves is getting us Storm Strike procs, and the haste that we're going to get is getting us Storm Strike procs. Now, on top of that, there's two covenants that this really works well for, in my opinion. Number one, you're obviously going to take Deeply Rooted Elements, but you can take the Night Fae, you can go Night Fae, and you get the cooldown of your dogs back much more quickly, right? So you can press your dogs, and then you can Fae Transfuse, and then 2 Storm Strikes later, you'll have your dogs up again. Then you can get 4 dogs out, and you have an incredibly high chance of getting them to trigger Stormbringer, which gets you your Storm Strike back and gives you a chance to trigger your Ascendance buff that you're trying to get, right? Very important. The other way to build this is, of course, to go Necrolord, and this is really interesting to me, and I was testing this out today and yesterday. This is good for one important reason, and that is the amount of haste that Splintered Elements gets you. Splintered Elements says that you get 10% more haste per lightning bolt that gets launched. So because of the entire kit that has been changed in 9.2, with the spreading of Flame Shocks and all that kind of stuff, I can press Flame Shock once, and then Primordial Wave this guy. So I'll have 2 Flame Shocks out, and then I'm going to spread this Flame Shock here to these other guys. Now I'll have 5 Flame Shocks that you spread it with Lava Lash, right? And then you press your Maelstrom Infused Lightning Bolt, and it will hit 6 times. Once for the Lightning Bolt that you cast, and 5 more times for the everybody that's got Flame Shock on them. Those 5 extra Lightning Bolts will give you 10% haste each, which equals 50% more haste, which is going to get us to 90% almost. It actually gets us up to over 100% haste. You're going to see that when we do the test here. So this is the other way you can build it, is you can go Necrolord and get huge chunks of haste for like 10 seconds. And that gives your auto attacks a chance to give you Stormbringer. It gives your dog's auto attacks a chance to give you Stormbringer. And it just lowers all your cooldowns so that you're hitting Stormbringer more often, which has a high chance of giving you Ascendance. So those are 2 different ways to kind of build the Deeply Rooted Elements build for Enhancement Shaman, and we're just going to try the Necrolord version right now, okay? We're going to give this a shot. Now, I just tried this out a minute ago, and I think it was completely bugged because it wasn't triggering at all. Sometimes these dummies are kind of bugged, they don't really work, but I'm really hoping that it's going to work this time. And yeah, otherwise I'll have to record this video a 3rd time. So we're going to start with Wind Fury Totem. We don't really need Wind Fury Totem. I am going to Flame Shock over here and get this guy to hit me once so that I'm in combat, just to try and make sure that we don't get the bug. And then I'm going to Primordial Wave over here. I'm going to spread the Flame Shock, and then we're going to get into our juiced haste window, okay? So we go here, and we're going to hit this guy. Oh, we got a proc already. Look at that. That's actually hilarious. Okay, it's not bugged. Primordial Wave, Lightning Bolt, and haste, 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 haste. Go, 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 go. Oh, we got another proc. Look at that. Spread Flame Shocks, Storm Strike. Look at our haste for a second. Oh, let's see. I can't do anything right now. This is crazy. Okay. Ready? Ready? We're going to do it again. Here comes the dogs. We're going to Primordial Wave into a Lightning Bolt, and then we're going to go. Try and get it. Look at our haste. 87% right now. We only got 4 targets, so that's why. Look at our haste. It's crazy. Ready for this? Round number 2. We got a Storm Strike. Oh, we didn't get it. Our haste is up again. 100% haste right now. 100% haste. Waiting for another proc. That's okay. There we go. We got a proc. Go, go, go. Spread with Lava Lash. Get the other Flame Shock over there. Just to get the next Lightning Bolts that we cast to work well. Lava Lash to continue spreading Flame Shock. We got a proc again. We're going to get our haste window again, okay? You ready for this? Here we go. We're going to Flame Shock over there. Primordial Wave this guy. We didn't get a reset, unfortunate. Here comes the Lightning Bolt. Huge haste. 100% haste right now. 100% haste. Go, 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 go. See, our cooldowns are just crazy. That's the idea here, okay? You have a higher chance of triggering Stormbringer to get you that Storm Strike back, which is really good. That's what you want. Got some dogs. Let's do a little bit more rounds. Wait for one more proc here. One more Flame Shock over there. We have our real dogs coming back, which is cool. We'll get them out. Dogs, and we go. They're going to get a Stormbringer. Really huge. We'll do one more of our Primordial Wave windows. Here comes Primordial Wave. Lightning Bolt. And we give a huge haste buff. We're going to go. Huge haste right now. 74% haste. One of our Flame Shocks must have fell off. That's okay. You can see how easily you can get that haste buff rolling. And then it gives you like a mini Lust every time. Which gives you a high chance to trigger your Stormbringer effect. Or your Ascendance effect. That's what you're looking for. Right? So that's it. That's the first part of it there, and why I think that this can work like decently well in AoE. We didn't get a whole lot of procs here, which is unfortunate, but sometimes it's just the way the cookie crumbles. That is the idea for this build. Now, we're going to go look at Ele Shaman. I'm going to run over here. So you can see what you get is you get this sort of Ascendance proc, which is a big AoE proc. It's going to hit everybody, right? So it does 7,100 damage to anybody nearby, which is essentially uncapped AoE, which is kind of cool. So if you get a bunch of procs on a pack, certainly within a Lust window, you're going to get a whole bunch of procs of this. And that's really going to help you in your AoE damage to be hitting more targets like that. So that is the build for Enhancement Shaman. I believe that there's lots of different synergies here for deeply rooted elements. You got Stormflare, you got Elemental Assault. Like I said, the tier set bonus itself has a chance to give you Stormbringer. And then if you play Necrolord, you have these windows where you get like 110% haste, which is like pretty crazy. Like if you have enough Flame Shocks going. Of course, I messed up and didn't have a couple of my Flame Shocks going there. But that's the only thing you really need to manage. You just have to make sure that you're pressing Lava Lash to spread those Flame Shocks so that you're getting the Ascendance procs as much as possible. Now, we're going to try this build on Ellie as well. So again, Resto Shaman doesn't work because you can't get more Riptides. Enhancement Shaman does work because you can get lots of Stormstrike procs, especially with the tier set bonus that we just got. How about Elemental Shaman? Does it work very well? Well, it does actually work, and it works perfectly fine. And I'm going to show it to you right here. Again, for Elemental Shaman, the Seeds of Rampant Growth doesn't really matter because Fire Elemental doesn't work like Feral Spirits. It doesn't give you a chance to get like Lava Burst back, which would be the equivalent to Stormstrike. So the way to play this, in my opinion, is to go Necrolord, and we're gonna take a look at it. Necrolord, once again, it's the same thing. You're gonna get that haste buff. So because of all the Flame Shocks that we have going, all the extra Lava Bursts that we proc from the Primordial Wave buff is going to give us a huge haste buff. It'll be over 100% probably when we get it going. Let me make sure I change my weapons here. But this is it. This one 226, 229. Sure. So the way this works, we're not running Ascendance actually. We're running Stormkeeper. Because with deeply rooted elements, we have a 7% chance now instead of 8. So the Enhancement Shaman has a better chance, 1% better chance. But 7% chance for our Lava Burst casts to trigger Ascendance. And Ascendance, just like on Enhancement Shaman, Ascendance for Elemental has a special on-hit effect, just like the Resto one too. So the Resto one does a burst of healing. Enhancement Shaman does a burst of physical damage in a circle. Ascendance launches a bunch of lava bursts at anybody with Flame Shock on them if you get the proc. So it's the same thing. It is more AoE. You're still getting extra AoE because all your Flame Shock spreading is now getting lava bursts thrown at each of them. And of course, lava burst always crits, so it's a good amount of damage. So it's a really cool effect. And then once we do the Primordial Wave stuff, we're going to get a whole bunch of haste. So I think this also works for Elemental Shaman. And Mastery is, of course, even better because Mastery gives us a chance to trigger an additional Lava Burst whenever we throw one, which gives us an additional chance to get the proc on Deeply Rooted Elements, okay? So it's going to be a bit of a slower start because we can't spread Flame Shocks with our Lava Lash, right? So it's slightly slower, but we're going to Flame Shock. We're going to get out our Fire Elemental first. We're going to Flame Shock into a Primordial Wave. We're going to Flame Shock and then we're going to Lava Burst a couple times, build up some Maelstrom. Then we're going to Primordial Wave into Flame Shock, and then we're going to go. We're going to make sure we have at least 4 of these out, okay? So here's how this would work. Fire Ellie into Shock. Do this. Okay. We're going to do this. And then we're going to do Chain Lightning. Okay, then we're going to do Flame Shock into Primordial Wave into Lava Burst, and we're going to go. There goes all the first little burst that we got there. We're going to make sure we spread our Flame Shocks. We have a huge haste buff right now. 75% haste. Our Flame Shocks last longer because of our Fire Ellie, which is very cool. Chain Lightning in between. Until we get a Surge proc. Again, we're waiting for our Ascendance to proc. This could be bugged potentially because I didn't switch my gear, but we'll see. Put that there. This also works with our tier set bonus because it extends our Fire Alley, right? which is really cool. Okay, Primordial Wave's coming off cooldown. We're going to cast it. We're going to Lava Burst. There, we got a proc on Ascendance as well. And we have huge haste. Here we go. Go, 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 go. One really interesting part about this build, again, the final piece of it is that Ascendance, when it procs, it refreshes the cooldown of all of your Flame Shocks, which all last twice as long because of your Fire Alley. There we go. We just got it right there. All of our Flame Shocks reset. Did you see that? They were all counting down and now they're back again. So like if you, once you get set up, once you get 3 or 4 Flame Shocks out there, if you get a proc on Ascendance, it just gives you all your stuff back, which is interesting. Okay, we got a Primordial Wave coming. Here we go. We're going to cast it. We're going to Lava Burst, and boom, all the meatballs go flying. Then we got a proc on Ascendance. We're going to go. Haste buff is 102% right now. I can't even cast it quick enough. My Earthquake doesn't want to go down. There we go. 102% haste right there. Chain Lightning. Chain Lightning. Here we go. Again, we're trying to use Stormkeeper. Either, oh, there's a trigger right now. We're going to Stormkeeper into 2 Lava Beams to get the big damage. So if you get your Stormkeeper buff in your Ascendance window, then obviously, you know, that's what you're looking at. So that's how it works. We're getting another Primordial Wave here. Oh, we got a reset. Big haste buff right now. Look at our haste. And we got an Ascendance proc. So our haste is 102. Our haste buff is wearing off. It's wearing off right now. We're going to press... It's wearing off 0, 1. Next Primordial Wave into a Lava Burst to get 110% haste again. 102% haste again. Look at our buff. It's still rolling. Sorry, I wasn't casting anything there. I'm not paying attention to half the stuff. We got to reset again. Our buff is wearing off. We're going to press Primordial Wave again and get another 102% haste again. See how that works? Like we lost all our Flame Shocks, but you see the idea there. That's the idea. That's the idea. So, once again, there's the damage breakdown. It's just going to be lots of Lava Burst because we're trying to trigger our Ascendance proc as much as possible. So here's the breakdown. I think on Elemental Shaman it works the best. Deeply Rooted Elements. On Enhancement Shaman, I think it's second best. But there's a lot of RNG with Enhancement Shaman because, I mean, there's RNG no matter what, but the RNG for Ele Shaman is less so. Like, Lava Surge seems to proc more consistently than Stormbringer does for Enhancement Shaman. So I would say that Elemental has it better. Also, your Mastery for Elemental contributes more than any of the talents or anything for Enhancement Shaman. So I think it's best on Elemental Shaman, and it feels really, really fun to play once you get the haste rolling. And if you get a reset on Primordial Wave from the Conduit, man, it just feels so good. You have like 20 seconds of a huge haste boost. Even if you only have 1 or 2 targets, that's 10 to 20% more haste for 10 seconds. And you can just keep rolling the buff over and over again if you get resets. Like, even on a single target, 10% extra haste is no joke. That's pretty good. So, but in AoE in particular, when you have at least like 3 Flame Shocks out, maybe on average, that's 30% haste that you're gonna get whenever you get this buff going. So that's really good in my opinion. Then for Enhancement Shaman, obviously Stormbringer and the dogs, the tier set bonus works in our benefit to help us trigger Stormbringer more often. And you can spread the Lava Lashes really easily you can spread the Flame Shocks really easily with Lava Lash. So that when you do your Primordial Wave Lightning Bolt, you can get the most out of it. You can get a lot of haste, which is really, really cool. And for Resto Shaman, unfortunately, it just doesn't work. Riptide's just not good. It's just not a good thing. There's no way to cool down Riptide. There's no way to speed up the cast time of Riptide or to get it to come back any quicker. There's nothing that instant casts Riptide for you. There is the Venthyr ability that instant casts Riptide on 5 people, but I've tried that combination before, and it didn't trigger Ascendance for me, so I don't know what to tell you. The point is, I do think that there is room now in the expansion for deeply rooted elements, and I know that people are going to meme on it and yell and scream about it and say it's bad. And it's certainly not as good as the rest of the legendaries. Don't get me wrong. It's not as consistent as the rest of the legendaries. If you play the other legendaries better, something like even Skybreakers on either Elemental Shaman or Enhancement Shaman, the damage numbers will be higher. But Deeply Rooted Elements is not that far behind. That's my point. It's not that far behind. And it's actually just a lot of fun to play. If you get the procs, it feels so good. It feels so fun. Um, if you don't get the procs, it obviously feels incredibly bad. But I wish that they had buffed this legendary back in the day and just said, like, casting Lava Burst has a chance to activate Ascendance, and every 20 seconds you activate Ascendance for 6 seconds. Like, to make it a little bit more consistent, that'd be really, really cool. But it is the way it is. It does actually work fairly good now, and the reason that it works okay for Enhancement Shaman, it's the tier set bonus giving you Stormbringer and all the talents that work with it. For Ellie Shaman, it is more so just the fact that you're able to get the Lava Surge procs on Lava Burst a lot more often, and your Flame Fire Elemental keeps your Flame Shocks out longer, so you have a higher chance of getting the procs on Lava Surge to just throw in as many meatballs as you humanly can. And then haste. The final thing for both of those specs is that the crazy amount of haste that we get from splintered elements and the amount of haste that we can get baseline on our characters right now is incredibly high, which allows us to get more casts in of Storm Strike and Lava Burst and to help trigger this effect to go forward. So I think that there's a place for this in 9.2. You can definitely toy around with this in the lower Mythic Plus in 9.2, something like a plus 15 or a plus 17. You could easily take this in there and it would be perfectly fine. If you're really trying to push higher keys, this is probably not the legendary for you, but it's a lot of fun and it's not too far behind the competition. It's actually not that far behind. So that's it, guys. That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you're seeing on this channel, give me a like, give me a subscribe. I would really appreciate it. I love all the conversations that we're having in the comments below. Let me know what you're thinking about all this stuff, and we will chat down there. And for now, I will see you in the next one.